8th of May, just past 8 p.m. in the night, the skies over India's northern frontier lit up. Not with missiles or fighter jets, but with small, silent, buzzing intruders. Drones suspected to have crossed over from Pakistan were spotted over major urban centers like Amritsar, Chandigarh, Jalandhar and Jammu. For the Indian defense establishment, which was waiting for the enemy to attack after Operation Sindoor, this was not just a potential security breach. This was a wake-up call. These were not bulky unmanned aerial vehicles, the UAVs of old, which were primarily used for reconnaissance purposes. These were small, agile and disturbingly accessible. Modified commercial drones, each of which possibly cost no more than $500 to $1,000, equipped with either surveillance gear for reconnaissance or with light ammunition intended for destruction. The arrival of these swarms of drones heralds a new paradigm in modern warfare, one where scale, stealth and cost efficiency can upend conventional notions of military superiority. To India's credit, its air defense systems were robust. They responded with remarkable precision. Radar jamming, surface-to-air intercepts and rapid mobilization of anti-drone squads ensured that none of these suspected UAVs caused any major damage. Over 600 Pakistani drones were intercepted and destroyed by India's sophisticated air defense systems under Operation Sindoor. They deployed over 1,000 anti-aircraft guns and 750 short-range surface-to-air missiles, both along the line of control and the international border. The integrated air defense system, the Akash Tir, combined with the Air Force's Integrated Aerial Command and Control System, IACCS, enabled rapid detection, tracking and neutralization of these drone threats. But the message had been delivered. Warfare, as we know it, is evolving, and the skies are now open to a new kind of combatant. What makes this drone warfare so revolutionary is the cost efficiency and the accessibility of this technology. Anyone in their godowns, in their repair shops, can build these drones, which can become deadly weapons. Unlike traditional warfare assets like tanks or fighter jets, these drones can be produced and deployed at a fraction of the cost. Commercial-grade drones suitable for any combat activity can cost anywhere between $500 to $1,000, and that makes them accessible to a wide range of actors, not just state actors, but also non-state actors. Now, in stark contrast to this, the F-35 fighter jet, which is the most advanced stealth fighter aircraft in the world, it costs around $100 million per unit. That makes it prohibitively expensive for any kind of mass deployment. Drones, therefore, are offering a disruptive alternative which can overwhelm expensive air defense systems through sheer numbers and swarm tactics. Also, traditional radars might find it difficult to detect these incoming drones because they fly at the height of treetops and not necessarily where traditional fighter jets or other aircraft would be flying. Now, this shift in warfare, this is not exclusive to the latest India-Pakistan conflict. This is not exclusive just to the subcontinent. In fact, it finds its most striking precedent in the ongoing war in Ukraine. When Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022, it came armed with one of the most formidable arsenals, militarily speaking, anywhere in the world. Russia had tanks, artillery, fighter jets, missile systems. Ukraine was outgunned and outmanned. It turned to defensive ingenuity. It turned to drones. In the early days of this conflict, Turkish-made Bayraktar or TB2 drones became the symbol of Ukrainian resistance. It has a wingspan of just 12 meters and a relatively low radar signature. The Bayraktar's TB2 destroyed Russian armored columns, command posts, and even some of their naval assets, all of which happened at a fraction of the cost of traditional weapons. Ukraine pioneered the use of swarms of these low-cost kamikaze-style drones to overwhelm Russian air defenses and also strike deep into Russian territory, including in major cities like Moscow. In one of the largest drone attacks on Moscow, Ukrainian forces launched hundreds of drones simultaneously, forcing Russia to shoot down over 300 drones in one single night. This happened just a few months ago. And just over this past weekend, after the failure of the US-brokered talks between Russia and Ukraine, in Turkey, Russia sent a swarm of drones to Kiev in what has been the most widespread destruction and death that has been seen in this conflict in the last few weeks. Supply chains behind these drones are also geopolitically significant. Turkey has been a major supplier of the Bayraktar TB2 drones, while Iran has matched its supplies to Russia. Iran has sent thousands of Shahid 136 kamikaze drones to Moscow. The Shahid 136 is a low-cost, disposable drone. It's got a range of about 2,000 kilometers, so it can be fired from Moscow and go all the way up to Kiev. This has now become a key component of Russia's drone strategy, including in the weekend attack that we saw over Kiev. What drones lack in power, in firepower, in ammunition, they make up for that in numbers as also in cost effectiveness. Modern conventional weapons, whether it is fighter jets or tanks or long-range missiles, are prohibitively expensive, and they're also technologically and logistically complex. A single American M1 Abrams tank costs around $10 million. A T-90, which is Russia's most advanced main battle tank, costs just about the same, about $10 million. But it is no less cumbersome. You compare that to a drone that can be built in a high school laboratory, or it can be built in your godown, in your garage. It can simply be built from the ground up using modified commercial parts which can be bought online. A swarm of 1,000 drones, each costing about $1,000, can be deployed for the cost of a single tank. And unlike conventional forces, drones can loiter, they can adapt mid-flight, and they can most crucially be sacrificed without any hesitation. This economic equation is changing the very DNA of military planning. You don't need air superiority anymore. You just need ingenuity. You need to be able to scale and swarm these drones. It is no longer about who has the biggest guns or fighter jets or missiles. It is about who can weaponize technology the fastest and the cheapest. Turkey and Iran are leading exporters in the drone space, supplying drones to state and non-state actors. China has introduced a rainbow series of drones which is already being marketed across Asia and Africa. And countries like India and Pakistan, which have traditionally focused on mainstream battlefield weapons like tanks and missiles and air power, are rapidly now shifting gears to drones. The recent drone incidents over the Indian airspace were not just security threats, these were demonstrations of capability. Proof that drones can be launched cheaply, stealthily, and repeatedly. That they can enter civilian airspace, they can evade detection for critical moments, and they can, at the end of the day, test a nation's war preparedness. And while India successfully intercepted all of these drones, the fact remains that the cost-benefit calculus now changes. It now favors the attacker because it's cheap to launch these attacks. Drones have become the machine version of low-cost terrorists which Pakistan has been using in its asymmetric warfare against India for decades. From the fields of Donbass in eastern Ukraine to the skies over Amritsar, drones have proven that they are not just tools of war, they are now the new instruments of conflict. The age of drones has just begun.